Alright, welcome back. So just to give you a little bit of a backstory to the Model 3 here, we've spent the last couple of days decontaminating the paint, polishing the paint, and polishing the glass, and we've just actually finished up putting our final coat onto the glass here. So now we're up to putting our coating onto the paint here, and so we've got some, we've got a couple of different products here and a couple of different reasons why we're going to choose to use Crystal Serum Light and Exo there, but why do you think you're going to use those and not the other couple down there?
Yeah, so what we've got here is Gtechniq's Crystal Serum Light and ExoV4. So obviously this is our ceramic paint coating, this is our topper. So we've used this many times in the past. I think this is probably the third, maybe the fourth vehicle that we've used this combination on, and I've really enjoyed it in the past.
Really happy with that.
The application process is seamless, it makes sense, no confusion like what we had earlier this morning with the glass coating.
Yeah, with the new CarPro Flyby30.
This goes on really easy. Haze is nice, it's really easy to remove. And then we've had the experience now as well of actually having this on the vehicle's paint for, you know, we had 18 months on one car.
It's a tried and tested method here. We know how it works, we know how it responds to our drying aid, and we know what the longevity is like of that product. So
the other option,
very comfortable with that, right?
Yeah, the other option that we did have, which we've got on the shelf here, is CarPro's. So this is C2, what is it? C Quartz. So C Quartz UK 3.0 and Gliss, which is the topper. So we had this as an option. We will save this for another vehicle. We're really keen to have a play with this, but I think we'll go with the tried and tested combination on this vehicle, and then we'll play around with this on one of the other cars.
On test vehicle. I think that's a very smart idea.
So the plan right now is, first of all, what we'll need to do is wipe down the car. So we're going to use CarPro Eraser. So this is an oil and a polish remover. So we're going to work our way around the whole car, make sure we're really thorough, removing all the polishing residue that's left on there, so we've got a clean surface to start our coating with.
And that is absolutely the key, right? We have spent a day and a bit polishing this vehicle.
Yep.
And we're now about to lock in the quality of the paint using our paint coating.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that that surface is got rid of all the dust, garage dust and build up in here, so that we have a nice surface, basically for that to bond well to, and so that you have a nice surface to look at for the next sort of 15 months.
And the way that this will work is we're going to do one coat of Crystal Serum Light. That coat will probably take us somewhere between an hour and 2 hours to work our way around the whole car, maybe closer to that hour point, because we don't have the roof to deal with here, given that was all glass coated. And then the whole idea is 2 coats of Exo. I don't think we've had a vehicle where we've made Exo stretch to a second coat before.
Not that size bottle, that's 50 mil.
This size here is...
Or is it a 100 mil bottle?
Let's open it. So the Crystal Serum Light, what we've got in here, so you've got some gloves, really important when you're working with a ceramic coating. You have a pipette.
That's really
draw the product.
That's really nice to be able to drop that onto your applicator pad that I got here.
The application pad that they give you in the box is not the one I'd recommend you use. This here is great for working around trim on the car, so around your door trim, the rubber, but we want to use CarPro block
and applicator. I'll talk you through that in a minute.
Yep.
But just show them what's in that other box there.
Well, this one here, so the CSL that we've got, this is a 50 milliliter bottle. No, sorry, this is a 30. We've got a 30 milliliter bottle.
They come in funny sizes. I can't really remember them off the top of my head.
They do a 30 and a 50.
But we will have enough Crystal Serum Light there for one coat, and there'll be a little bit left in the bottle there for this car, I would say.
There should be. And then we've got our ExoV4, so this is our topper. Again, in the box here, we have some gloves. We have another one of these applicator pads. And we have the bottle, which is also a 30 milliliter bottle. So I'm pretty confident we'll get around the vehicle once with each coating.
Yeah.
And the time that we're going to leave between is probably about 4 hours, if not tomorrow morning. We'll see how we get on.
Crystal Serum Light, wait 4 hours, yeah?
Yep.
And then first layer of Exo, and then how long have you got to wait between layers of Exo?
You can immediately do a layer of Exo, so you can basically go back to the panel you finished on and just start again. Second coat of Exo is quite a bit harder to apply because it doesn't bond very well to itself. Your second coat is primarily to make sure you've got good even coverage across the paint. So if we don't get to it, not imperative.
A couple of things to think about here is that when you're putting on your paint coatings, you don't want to put your coating on and then take it out into the elements.
Yep.
Because anything like the wind or anything like the rain and stuff, it'll just run off and you wasted your time. So you want to make sure that you're in a nice, well ventilated garage, because it does get a bit fumy in here, and you want to make sure that it's protected from the elements until those coatings have had time to cure. And essentially you basically want to leave the car out of rain for probably another day, 24 hours or so after you finish your last Exo, just to make sure that everything's nice and cured and bonded to the paint well before you then go out and ruin that.
So I think what we'll do is by the time we finish our last coat, whether that's coat 1 or coat 2 of Exo, as soon as we finish, we'll start the 24-hour counter and it'll stay in the garage here for 24 hours.
Yeah.
That'll be the plan.
So you saw that in those couple of boxes there, they do come with applicator pads, but what we're going to use is a CarPro block here, which has a little bit of a sponge backing to it, and there is some slits on the side here. So if we look down the side here, there are some slits there. I don't know if you can see them, I can't really. And the whole purpose of this is to be able to put your CarPro applicator cloth on top there, curve it around the block, and then you get yourself something like a skin wedge tool, and you can just slide it on the inside there of those little grooves, and it essentially like pinches the cloth together to hold that pad on the block there. And what you have is you have now a block with the applicator on top, and you've got your block there with your microfiber cloth on top, and this is really easy to now use a little pipette, drop your few drops of your coating on there, and away you go. And we'll show you that in application in a minute.
We're all wiped down now, and this is the part that we've worked toward for the last couple of days. So time to start with a ceramic coating.
There's a little bit of polish residue. Gone now though. I can still see it there actually, like there. So the key is when applying this coating, you want to make sure you wear gloves, because if you get a little bit of coating on your fingers, it's going to make them feel tacky, and it's going to feel like your finger has a coating on it. It's not nice, is it? It lasts a good couple of days on your fingers. Yeah,
you'll probably use a few pairs of these gloves because you do sweat in them a bit too. They're not too nice and you're doing a few coats. So basically the process that we're going to work here is we're going to go in a crosshatch format. So I'll walk you through it when we prime the pad and get it ready to go. But what we have changed up from the last time that we've done this process, and I'm only putting this down on the card because I haven't got any product on there yet, but we are using the edgeless 245 towels from the Rag company. And these towels here, we've decided to switch it up a little bit. In the past, we'd buy 20 towels for the coating removal process, all in the same color.
So the reason why we've got different colors is because you want to go, the issue is when you go first wipe, you flip your towel, or you get another towel and you go second wipe. So when you've got two towels of the same color, you're getting tired, you're not sure where you are, and you go, well actually which was my first wipe, which was my second wipe. You've got to be a bit focused on it. So we've eliminated that error. We've gone blue first wipe, red second wipe, because red is the end of stop, finished. So that's the order that we've decided to go for.
Because previously what we'd be doing is we're going, which one's first wipe, which one's second, and we'd be going left's first wipe, right, and we'd mess it up. So no issues here.
Because really you want to stay absolutely organized here, because if you don't know where you've put the coating and you haven't quite wiped it off or whatnot, then you're going to end up with high spots. Now if you end up with high spots, when you look at the paint, it's going to look bubbly and not very nice, and then after that high spot's cured, it's very hard to remove it. And in fact, if you go back and look at our first couple of times, you have to get the polish out and you have to polish it off. And so that is super nasty. So when you're removing this product, stay organized, remember where you are, make sure that when you do your first wipe, you go slightly beyond where you put the coating, and then your second wipe go even bigger again, just in case you've pushed product into a panel that you didn't think you thought where it was going.
So for instance, if we're working this hood and we do our first wipe, we're going to wipe a portion of the fender here as well, because we may have pushed some of that product across. As Glenn said, stay really organised through this process. We're going to prime the pad up now, and then we'll show you kind of a section on the hood here.
Yeah, so you've got your bottle of CSL here. So CSL goes on first. This is really nice product because it comes with a little pipette, little dropper on there.
I prefer, you see, this is what I don't like, because now I'm working with two things in my hand. I don't have the dropper. I don't like the pipette.
Yeah, but the thing is that you get to put the lid back on, and you get to screw the lid, and you get to put the product down. Because if you have that product in your hand, you're always going to just keep topping up, and you're going to blow through that whole bottle. The other thing is that if you leave your bottle of CSL open, potential for you to knock it over, potential for you to leak all the liquid out. And imagine having half your car done. You can't get one of these bottles very easily.
No, we're going to be waiting up to a week.
And it's pretty expensive too.
Yep.
So you want to cherish this because, so that's why I recommend putting the cap on, putting it away, and then it is a pain because you're having to go back, but at least you know that you're not going to blow through product and that you've got product to actually complete the job.
So what I might do for the purpose of priming the pad, I'll get you to hold the bottle.
Don't prime it over the paint though.
No, we're not going to prime it on the paint.
So you can see there just a couple of drops, and so we'll bring this up really closely. So the pad has been soaked down quite a lot for the first time. Do not do that for the going forward. You just want a couple of drops on there, but first time really soak it down.
Yeah. Got pretty good coverage. I might just add a couple of extra drops on there. Because what you like to do, or what I like to do for the priming stage is prime the pad and then put on the normal amount you'd applicate, which is just a small line. And what you'll find is that first part that you primed it will get you quite a big section.
Will get you a good distance, yeah.
So I'm going to start working here. It's an odd shaped hood actually to be dealing with.
And it's really slick, so you can see Glenn's going all one way for a good chunk of panel, and then when he feels comfortable that he's got a nice section, you flip it and go the other way, and then you come back and stay super organized. Remember which areas you've done.
So I'm going to go up to the side of the badge there.
Flip it and come back, and so that's creating your sort of cross-hatch type motion or hashtag or however you want to say that.
And this is different to that glass coating. You don't hear the screeching.
This is super slick. And as you can see, well, you probably can't see in this light, but I can see that there's a nice little slick haze over the top. You can see where he's been. And then over time, what will happen is hopefully that will start to cure. Well, no, it sort of starts to dry. And as it dries, it sort of hazes over on the bonnet there.
It does. And it's a finicky thing to find application time for this. I like to wait till it's almost at a point where you can start to see really tiny micro beads in the coating, but it's a tough thing to gauge.
So here I'm right on the light. See you later. So here I'm right on the light, and I can see that just starting to bead now, and it is hazy, and I can see where you've been.
So I like to get to that point and then probably wait another 30 seconds or so before removing it. You want to give it a good chance to not cure on the paint, but have a good chance to bond.
What do they recommend that the flash time is?
Look, I don't actually remember. I'm just doing this by feel now. If you're working in hotter environments, you want to remove this quicker, hotter or more humid. Whereas vice versa, if you're working in the winter.
You hear that noise?
I do. That's
an engine. Subi. That's an engine. That's something you don't have.
You walked away with my second white towel, have you?
Oh yeah, here you go. I was just going to get out the light because I was just going to see if we could see that a bit better.
I'm going to remove. And just immediate slickness is
really slick, eh?
Yeah. And you should be able to work out after your first panel if you're on the money with your time you've left it to bond, or if you want to stretch it out, or if you want to narrow it down. So if you find
it's all dependent on your weather. We're quite humid and hot here. I mean, if you were having areas where it was snowing and whatnot, you'd probably have a longer flash time.
Like I'm looking at this area up here, quite hard to remove. See through there? So based on that, I'm going to cut down the application time, or the time I leave this to sit on the paint.
Yeah, because the longer you leave it on, the more time it cures, and therefore the harder it is to try and pull that off. Yeah. You don't want to leave this for a couple of hours and then come back and wipe it off.
Absolutely not. You'll be polishing two-step, three-step.
You'll be buffing for weeks.
So I can see immediately I've got a bit of a high spot up here because I cannot easily remove that area. So an easy way to fix that, it's not really anywhere else on the hood. I don't know why it's dried there. Really easy way to fix it. Take your pad, don't apply any more product. Go back over it, which should reactivate that. And I can immediately come behind and remove that. And that should tidy up my high spot.
The says on your application is to soak 3 measures from the pipette, 3 full measures. So you probably only used about 1 and a bit.
Yeah, we didn't use 3.
Right, so we did have you managed to get a little bit of a high spot. It was actually quite a big smeary section here, wasn't it?
It was, and what I just showed you normally works, right? If we've had small high spots in the past, we just went over the section again, wiped it, because it was immediate that we spotted that. Did not work this time. You had a great idea to use this pad.
So instead of pulling out the polishes there and flinging stuff everywhere and getting it all on the glass, I said let's just try hand doing it, be really gentle. So I've got a Ruper's wool pad here. We went quite aggressive with some Cut Max, Sonax Cut Max, and just really lightly, no pressure, and just sort of buffed into it a little bit, and it has pulled that coating off. We did it before it, you know, you wouldn't want to let this cure for 4 hours and then come back and do it. We did it pretty much straight away.
Within 5 minutes it was.
It's lifted it off, it's got rid of it, and so now what we need to do is just recoat this section here, and let's see if you get the same problem again.
Yeah, I think what we're going to have to do, because it is quite humid, I just checked the temperature, so it's 20 and it's relatively humid. 20 degrees Celsius.
Maybe that's because that's where you started. I think maybe too much. So we're going to have a really quick flash time.
We are. I think we're going to pretty much need to apply in probably half that section size, and as soon as we've applied, remove.
And what's happened now, we've got the garage door down because we want to reduce the amount of stuff blowing off the road and stuff, but we want to have a little bit of airflow in here so we don't cook. But this garage does get quite hot in the afternoon, so we're probably slightly hotter than that.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to be, just be very cautious of our flash time.
We're going to go over this area again and
reapply and see what happens, see what happens. I think, you know, every time we've done this, we've actually had a high spot we've had to repolish. So
yeah, we have. However, we've never had to pull out the, or one time, right? We've had to pull out the polisher one time because we spotted it quite late.
Well, this is kind of where you want the nano as well. In case you make a little mistake, the nano would be really good, but we don't have that. We've just got the 5-inch, what is it, 5-inch? Yeah, 5-inch and 3-inch. So hand polish did work. And let's see, just wait a minute.
Yeah, we'll let that cure for a tiny bit. Not gonna go straight away there, but we're gonna leave it a very short amount of time.
So that's pretty good that you guys have managed to see that, because I've seen lots of people put on coatings before.
Here we go. I see the dots forming.
I see them doing it perfectly every time, you know?
Yeah, no, it's not perfect every time. Absolutely not.
Better?
There we go, that's much better. So look, as soon as those dots formed, I just saw those starting to bead. You need to remove the product. And what we've found is, this is probably the latest in the year we've done the detail, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just coming into summer, it's starting to heat up here, so yeah, that's better.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we worked out a method here. Our method is work small and work fast.
Yeah, you probably did go a bit too far with that first set of product, but
you can usually get quite far with your first one because you prime the pad up.
Yeah.
And we've usually done this in September, October, early October.
Yeah. So there we go, we're just going to continue on, do another section of the hood.
Yep.
I reckon finish off the hood, you go.
You don't want to do any.
I'm too scared to do it, because you've already mucked it up. But I think you got lucky there because that was a big section.
That was a big section.
I think you got really lucky. So the key is there, if it does happen, you want to react quite quickly and get rid of it.
I'm not screwing that lid on, I can't. So we're going to go half size here.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to come to here. Get that area.
So back and forth in one motion. When you feel like you're ready, you flip the block around and you come back up the other way. And that's just ensuring that you get even coverage and that you hit all spots of the paint. And it's quite a fast motion and it's really slick.
And I can feel where I've hit the overlap because it's slick.
It's slick, yeah.
Really slick.
I'm thinking you probably want to rub now because I'm starting to see formation already.
Yeah.
So you really want to micromanage your little section and keep super organised.
And what I'm doing here too is the first bit I started is where I'm going to start my wipes from.
And just make sure that you rub onto the adjacent section so that you don't get high spots in case you have pushed product further.
And just like polishing, this is quite challenging to do on a white car. You really need to catch the right light to inspect. So make sure you're not doing this in the dark.
Have you done it again?
No.
No.
No. Yeah, no, we're all right.
Okay, so that's probably the answer.
Yeah. All right, we're on to the final two doors of the car, and with our bottle of CSL here, we've probably used about 3/4 of it. Maybe not 3/4. We've probably got about a third left, so about 2/3.
Yeah.
We've got the 2 doors left to do, and a bit of trim as well. So I think that stretched a pretty decent way around the car, keeping in mind we didn't have to do the roof, that was all glass coating.
And since we've worked out that really quick flash time, we've had no issues so far that we're aware of. So I think we're on the home stretch here.
We are. We're just been working smaller areas, wiping off quicker.
It's a really nice, satisfying process, eh?
It is. Just feeling that slickness immediately.
And you can tell, so when you go to rub from the panel you've just coated to an adjacent panel that's not coated, you can tell the difference in slickness.
Yeah.
It sort of puts a bit of a smile on your face, like it's a real, I feel really sort of accomplished, you know, and super slick and really nice product to work with.
Well, you've gone and spent, you know, 2 days, 3 days in some cases to get to this point, right? So I think by nature, it's going to be the most enjoyable. But I think it's when you get that first wipe, if you haven't used ceramic coating before,
yeah,
when you get to that point where you apply your first section and you get to the wipe off, that's when you know.
And this CSL is basically the one that's going to do most of the protection on the paint. It's going to add a little bit of slickness and it's going to add a little bit of gloss. But where we really see good water behavior and lots of gloss and lots of slickness is when we then put 2 coats of Exo on the top of it.
Yeah. You can use a standalone and you can use a topper.
You definitely can.
Like bead maker, right?
Yeah.
But you can also do what we do, which is 1 coat CSL, coat of Exo, and then top it again, so you're protecting the protection.
And this is a really nice product to use on your trim. It sort of makes the trim, even old trim, so even on the WRX, even that old trim really got really deep, dark, rich color, and it sort of, I don't know, almost made it look new again. So this works really well on trim too.
We were talking about this earlier as well, trying to describe what it looks like when the product's flashed and it's ready to be wiped off, and you described it as a bubble.
It's like a hazy bubble.
Yep.
And so that sort of flashes over, you get these little dot type things.
It's got right now.
It's quite hard to describe, and it almost comes second nature once you've done this a little bit.
Yeah, I think that if you're applying this for the first time, you're going to be really slow in your application. I think you move the pad slower, and I think you probably would leave the product on a little bit longer. I mean, we've come a long way in our experience with this. I remember the first time that we coated in...
Oh yeah, first time I did it, I was so nervous. I was like, oh,
you were kind of just moving the pad.
Don't stuff it up. Yeah, but you can be quite quick and you can look quite fluid, and you can move quite quickly on it. And it's flashing quickly, so we have to move quite fast, you know?
Yeah, and I think you learn as well that once you've checked your panels and you kind of know where it's spreading, how it's working, you micromanage it a little bit less. I mean, you're micromanaging it, but you're not completing a panel and then looking from 20 different angles. You may have a quick glance and go, yep, like I know I've been pretty uniform with that.
Yeah. So we're just going to bust out these last couple of doors, and at the same time, up there, we don't have a TV in here, but I got the got the phone on sideways, which is the biggest screen I got. V8 Supercars kicking off Sydney Motorsport Park. It's the night race, and Shane Van Giz, he's my favourite, eh?
Glenn, he's a huge
fast Kiwi from I don't know where he lives, in Auckland somewhere, I guess, probably. Number 97.
He'll probably be close to Pukekohe, eh? Puki.
He's on. He's got top champ. He's a championship leader, and yeah, he's my favourite. So I hope he does well this weekend. So yeah, we got that going in the background because you know, old mate's making me do this in my spare time. So I thought, since this is my spare time, I'm going to watch a bit of TV too. You know.
That's right, because it wasn't my spare time when I helped with your car, eh?
Nah,
that was just like extra time, really.
No. You know? When you're a garage manager, double standard, you know.
Oh, you're allowed to have double standards.
Yeah,
fair enough. I might use a one of those Omni Garage days we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you can finish off the car and I'll take a
Hey, you've shot out twice today and I've had to box on, you know what I'm saying?
Did you really?
Yeah.
You told me there's a couple of coatings in there. You could have just gone and poured it down the drain. And
Hey,
I got 2 coatings on there.
I even was super nice to you, and I even opened up another little bowl of stuff
You
to
did.
finish the job. So you know what I'm saying? Hard on the outside, but on the inside, there's a cuddly little teddy bear.
Yeah, little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the earlier video with this fella in the rubbish truck, that's a true testament to him being a little kid.
Yeah.
Exciting, eh?
Love rubbish trucks. So Glenn's going to try real hard to try and get this haze over on the camera. So we've got a little bit of light here. We'll see if we can bring it up. It's pretty hard to see, and it's something you're just going to have to experience. So I can already see it hazing over. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, can you?
It's pretty difficult.
See it? Go more of an angle. And once you see that, you can see it haze over a little bit, and then that's the perfect time to wipe off. Don't let it sit for any longer than that. Otherwise you're going to have to polish like we had to at the beginning.
We've just left the car overnight, so we did our CSL application yesterday, probably finishing up about 5 p.m. It's 10 a.m. right now, so we've given it heaps of cure time before we come along now and apply our ExoV4. So this here is going to be our topper to the coating, and this is going to add add some more protection. It's going to make it really easy to maintain by the way of increasing that water contact angle.
Yeah, so I think the water contact angle is 116 odd degrees.
112, I think, 112.
So that high contact angle is really important because that's what's going to give you the water behavior that we all sort of really want, you know? And so this doesn't come with a pipette, this comes with like a little dropper on top. So I think you almost have to flip it over and touch the little dropper on the pad, and it will just give you a little, I suppose, your little couple of lines of product.
You can work bigger sections when you're using EXO as well. I'm going to start with a small section here. If you watched the earlier part of the video and saw some of the struggles that we had when we did have some high spots we had to remove, our humidity is way down today. It's earlier in the morning, it's a bit cooler, we've had no rain. Yeah. Should make it a bit easier. EXO is recommended to leave on the surface for a couple of minutes before you wipe off. So we're gonna do this very similar to the CSL.
I can see it hazing over already.
Yeah.
I actually sent an email to Gtechniq quite a wee while ago. Actually, at the beginning of the year, February, I sent this, and they said that ExoV4 has a pH of 2 to 13. I don't think it's readily advertised, actually. And the pH, just to correct, the pH of Crystal Serum Light is 2 to 12. So both those products have a really big spectrum of pH resistant, which is perfect for when you're using your pH neutral soap. And what did we say the contact angle of ExoV4?
112 degrees.
It's 112 degrees, yeah. So that's what's going to give you your water behavior. It's going to help remove the dirt, grime and things like that, because it's supposed to just kind of slide off the paint. It doesn't really do that, but that's the intention there.
And this is incredibly slick. Like, you could feel the slickness of the CSL, but when you get EXO on here, this is like unlike anything else you'll have ever felt if you haven't done a ceramic coating on a car before.
And this is what's going to give the paint extra gloss. You know, it's really going to intensify the gloss that we saw when we had Crystal Serum Light on there. And also it's going to make the trim look darker.
Yeah.
And not shinier, but more rich looking. I really like using this product on the trim. It even does really good on old trim too, so
I've got no issues with any type of high spotting here.
You need to come out a bit wider.
I pushed it a little bit wide, have I?
Yeah, you need.
Yeah, right there.
So again, like we did with the Crystal Serum Light, you got to make sure that your first wipe goes slightly wider than the panel, and your second wipe goes even wider again, because if you push product over, you're going to get things like high spots. Yeah. And the whole idea of using these two towels is is to basically not necessarily wipe the product off completely, you're kind of leveling it off, right?
Well, I think your first towel would be your level, right?
Yeah.
So our blue, in this case, is our level, making sure it's spread evenly. And then our red is to remove any of that haze that we see on top of the
any
surface.
stuff that hasn't really bonded, I guess, is just removing that product. And you definitely don't want high spots. You saw yesterday we had a little high spot up there and we had to buff that off, but I think our flash time, it did kind of say that CSL, I did read just now that CSL is usually a put on and wipe off straight away. We haven't typically done that in the past. We've sort of let it haze over and let it cure for a little bit of time. But it's really hot and humid in here, so we're working with pretty much really quick flash time. And you can see this product now, you can see exactly where you've been and it is hazing over.
We can probably leave it a little bit longer than I did on that initial one, but probably not. You wouldn't want to go too much longer. I'll wipe do that as well. It'd be quite handy to have a clock in the garage actually. You know those swimming timers at the pools?
Oh yeah.
Where it ticks around? Because I'm just guessing this every time. I'm guessing how long
you reckon
to leave
like
it
a
on
big
for.
clock on the wall and it would go like, I don't know, 30 seconds?
Yeah, I think it'd be quite handy to get consistent results all the way around the car because I'm just guesstimating this.
You do kind of get a little bit of a feel for how things, like as you know, you might be coating in half an hour's time, the temperature might have dropped, so therefore you can leave it a little bit longer. It's quite a hard thing to explain, right? You have to just experience it yourself, and as long as you know that when you've stuffed it up, you know how to correct it, and we kind of showed you that yesterday. I really like the two different towels. I think that was a really smart idea.
It has made things so much more simple.
First wipe, second wipe.
Not second guessing what we're doing.
And what towel you're up to and which one's which.
Okay, I'm relatively happy with that. It's gone on nicely, no issues. No high spotting, no smearing. And I can feel the slickness of this. So the plan for us will be to continue working our way around the car with Exo, with the ideal situation being getting 2 coats out of it. So if we can make that bottle stretch for 2 coats, that's the ideal. And it doesn't necessarily bond to itself. So Exo won't bond. You don't get the double the benefits from 2 layers, but 2 layers of it will mean that if you've missed any spots, you're going to make sure you get full coverage. So we've never managed to get a full 2 coats out of this bottle here before. This is a 30ml bottle. I think in the past we probably could have stretched to a 50ml to get that 2 coats.
Yeah.
But because we've got all of the glass on this car, I'm really hopeful that we're going to have our first experience with 2 coats with this. We should be able to get all the way around, but I guess only time will tell. So we're going to carry on. We'll show you any spots around the car where we run into any issues, and I'm really keen to show you guys as well what this looks like on trim. So we might show some trim application when we work our way around the other side of the car.
So as Glenn sort of applies the first bit of Exo to the other half of this bonnet here, if we follow him along, you can kind of see as it hazes over, which is a really hard thing for us to try and show you, but you can kind of see in the left hand side of the screen there, you can kind of see where it is slightly hazy, sort of looks, I guess, like a whole heap of little lines. And as we come down here, and just as we move over to the to that left side there, you can see more haze, and as that hazes over a little bit more, that's when you know it's time to wipe off. It's really hard to show. Actually, there's a little spot there on the right side of the screen, just as we come down, that sort of smoky look, and then you know it's time to wipe off.
All right, we worked around all of the paintwork on the car, so we're up to the trim now. So on the Tesla Model 3, you've got all of this plastic under the front here. So we're going to try and get this to look really deep, rich, gloss-like.
And then we're just going to use the Exo on here. And so when you're working a little finicky areas like that, you can take your applicator pad off your block there, and it just helps you to maneuver around the little I suppose the tighter areas that you can't necessarily get the block into.
So we've split this into 4 sections. I'm going to work from here this way on the outside of the rubber trim here, and then we'll move inside. And what we've found, and particularly what you found on the doors of this car, is this product is going a long way, isn't it? think you forget.
Yeah, it does travel a wee distance, although this plastic is going to be quite porous.
It is.
So I think you're going to find we're not going to be able to travel as far. But what you can see on this black trim is that it starts to darken, and from that point you can see where you've been, and so you'll know when you're starting to run out of product because you'll almost be dry wiping, right?
Yeah, of all of the areas of the car, doing plastic trim is the easiest to keep track of your progress because of that very fact. This is going a relatively long way. I'm probably getting a little bit dry now. We do with a couple more drops. And this is where your applicator pad gets quite dirty as well, you can tell.
Yeah, so that black trim there will get really dirty, so you don't want to then use this back on the paint again.
No, hence why we're doing this as probably one of our last steps, aren't we?
Yeah.
Did you work your way all the way down here?
I went to halfway.
Cool. We've had no high spots at all with us. It's been pretty straightforward, the application today.
We've pretty much put on and wiped off pretty much straight away.
I think a lot of that goes down to humidity, but also I feel like the CSL repels this a little bit, so you've got a bit more time to work with.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
You know, I feel like it either takes longer to soak through. I don't know. Just a different feel working with EXO than CSL. CSL, I'm a bit more panicky. Feel like I'm in more of a hurry.
This has probably got a little bit more leeway, do you think?
Yeah, I think it probably comes down to the fact that you've got a bit more time up your sleeve before you have to wipe off.
So this is a bit less precise when you're using it in these little finicky areas than what you would on the paint. These tend to be a lot more organised. But here you just got to kind of remember visually where you've been.
Well, you're doing this for look more than anything, aren't you? Because this area is not necessarily getting wet. It's not for gloss. You're not looking at this from a stranger walking by the car outside. This is something that only you're going to know that this is done. So you can be a little bit less precise. Oh, look what it does to the rubber. This is going to come out looking really dark, I think, my applicator. Just going around on that. Not too bad. So as you can see there, the pad gets really dirty working in these areas. We want to throw this away straight away. There, you got an emergency release hatch there. I don't know who's fitting in here.
In case you get stuck in there, eh?
Yeah. I've only been stuck in the boot once.
That was for YouTube, eh?
Yeah, we were shooting thumbnails, nothing weird going on. Oh, the strut comes up nice too. And this process has taken us, we started at 10, we're probably about 11:30, probably about an hour and a half, would you say?
Yeah.
2 of us going around working on it.
We did stop for a snack.
We had a snack, some more biscuits. So if you're doing this by yourself, I think you want to allow about 3 hours. If you've got a mate and you're doing it together, hour and a half.
Look how nice it comes up though, real dark.
And so the way we'd maintain this on an ongoing basis is probably a bit of, just a bit of bead maker or some kind of topper. Every once in a while, give it a bit of a wipe down. Don't let it get to a stage where it's dirty. Just maintain it. Okay, so time to work the trim. And you can see that obviously it's wet, so it is going to look darker, but it will retain a lot of that gloss. Or not gloss, it will retain a lot of that richness in colour.
Yeah, it just makes it look, this is brand new trim, but it does make old trim look even more brand new. So you can see
it does.
you can see that sheen, which sort of helps you guide where you've been.
And a little bit of this on trim like this goes a long way. If you're dealing with rubber seals, it does eat through the product a lot more because it is porous. But something like this, you can go a really long way with this. So I can come back down here, this trim. We've already done the door handles as part of the doors. And you are going to end up getting a bit of this on your glass, so you just again got to make sure with your first and second wipe that you're removing all of that. And I actually probably have enough here to work my way around the mirror as well. You'll know when you run out. It will take a really long time on Exo.
So I'll try and show you here. You can see it just starting, not really, but you can see it starting to just flash over. Can't really see it, to be honest with you.
It's pretty difficult. But what you will be able to see, where did we start? We started here, so we'll start our wipe off down the bottom as well. If you can see, if I kind of do it to a point there, where that's wiped off 2 wipes.
It's pretty hard, but you can tell the difference between wiped and just there, bottom left there is non-wiped.
As Glenn said, this isn't going to make as much of a difference on brand new trim as it is to old. If you get to experience this on trim that's dated, 10 years old, like we had on the blue WRX that we've detailed on the channel, huge transformation.
And it lasts pretty well on the trim too. Like I would have thought maybe the rubber would soak it in, maybe for the first wee while it would look new and then it would wear off, but it sort of lasted really well, so I reckon that's how you bring the old trim to the new again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you think your trim needs replacing, before you go and do that, try some Exo.
Make sure you clean it up with Meguiar's M39.
Yep, key.
Get all the white stuff out of the trim, you'll rub it a couple of times, it'll keep bringing up black stuff onto your towel, but clean it up as much as you can. Maybe give it an alcohol wipe down, it'll probably dry it out a little bit.
You could apply Exo standalone on that as well. You don't necessarily need to do CSL. If you've got CSL around, do it.
And I think you'd be really surprised.
So the final bit that we have left on this car is this little section here that houses one of the fender cameras, and then we're done. It was a really satisfying project applying Exo today. I think the temperature helped. It has picked up a bit now, so it is getting a bit warmer, so I'm glad that we did this early in the day. You do not want to be doing ceramic coating in the heat of summer unless you've got an air-conditioned facility to do it in. It's just really difficult to work with as soon as you get the humidity up. So we've just finished up with our Exo coating and we didn't quite get it to stretch as far as we wanted. We've got a quarter of a bottle left, and what that got us on this car was all of the paint. We got all of the trim done. Quite a big area under the hood here, under the front. And then what we did is, given we had some extra product left, is we did a second coat only on the hood of the car, and we've left that quarter for some other projects that we may want to tackle a little bit later on. There was no point trying to make that quarter stretch through the rest of the car because we wouldn't have reached all the way around, and that would have played havoc with my mind knowing that only a few panels were double coated. So we've just got this one here. The process, all in all, basically what we've done is Wednesday afternoon we did our decom. We polished all day Thursday. We've done our first coating and we did all of the glass polishing and coating on Friday, and we're about middle of the way through the day on Saturday. We finished up our Exo this morning, done things like put our number plate back on the car, quick interior wipe down to get that looking nice. So all in all, it's been a relatively stress-free process. We've finished at 5 o'clock each day and made it quite easy on ourselves.
So now I think we're going to lock it up in the garage. We're going to let that that top layer of Exo just cure over, the next 24 hours. We're going to keep it out of the elements, keep it out of the rain and stuff, just to really make sure that it bonds really well to the paint. And then after that 24-hour period, then it's kind of safe to get out in the elements and drive around and whatnot.
We're good to go. We won't really want to be driving it in rain for the next couple of days, but look, it can't necessarily be avoided. So I think if you give it that garage time, you should be fine. We are due some rain this week, but let's hope it holds off for a little bit just to help that bond even better. But what we'll do, we'll walk you around, show you a couple of key areas of the car. We're really happy with the finish of it, but there are a couple of spots where I think we may run into some issues sooner rather than later in terms of finding some more scratches.
And those are just going to be the high use areas, right?
Yeah.
You just got to be a little bit careful with that, but that's on most cars, but we'll show you where they are and we'll show you what kind of finish we ended up with.
It's really hard to show on camera. I appreciate that every car looks fantastic, even a dirty one on camera, but I think the level of gloss that Exo has added, or CSL in combination with Exo has added to this paint, it looks absolutely fantastic.
And I think having spent a lot of time making sure that we decontaminated the paint perfectly, and we did spend a lot of time making sure we removed as much scratch as we can to really prepare that surface for the coating. The coating is the part where you're locking in the paint.
Yeah.
And so it's really important that you're starting with the best surface as possible. And I think that's just a true reflection of that. So you can actually see now with a little bit of light there, you can see the gloss and the shine that these coatings have had. And I think, to be honest with you, we've probably got close to a showroom finish here, which we personally both haven't really experienced this before, have we?
No, I was a little bit concerned around some of these areas here with the polishing, not knowing if we would get everything out, but it's corrected out really, really nicely. And I think looking at this paint now, it looked really flat before we got it into the garage, but looking at it now, it almost has a bit of a pearl fleck to it. I can see the orange peel pretty uniform through the paint, and maybe that's adding a degree of that pearl to my perception of it anyway, but the gloss is absolutely amazing, especially on the front end where we managed to get the garage door up and see it in the sunlight. I'm really looking forward to getting this outside. So you should be able to see some of the gloss off that paint as well, where it's hitting the light with our garage door up, and all the way down the side of the car here too. I'm catching the light and it looks phenomenal. So a couple of the areas that I am concerned about a little bit back on an ongoing basis here, where we may have to hit again at some point sooner than when we need to do the whole car, would be the high impact areas. Definitely door handles, we've spoken about that. But the charge port on the Tesla Model 3 is in the back tail light here. And what I think that we may end up here is that there's probably tendency for people to want to put their hand on the car here as they're plugging the charger in. And also, yes, the charger does open automatically when you bring a charger near it. However, I think it's only a matter of time before you do get some bumps around that area as well. So that wraps up yet another detail series on Omni Garage. These are becoming a lot easier for us. We're getting way more efficient. And I think they're becoming a lot more fun because of the combination of those things. What we do have left to do on this car is the wheels. They need to come off the car, but we are going to wait another weekend to do that. Two reasons there. We don't have the pucks that we need in order to raise the car at the moment. And also it's quite nice to have a break in between the detail series. So we'll probably leave it a couple of weeks while we get those pucks, get these wheels off the car, decontaminate them, ceramic coat them, and finish off the series there. But look, thank you so much for watching another Omni Garage detail series. There's plenty more to come. Wheels off in a couple of weeks time, and then we do have another full detail series coming up very shortly. Thank you so much for watching.